Mr. Hanuma Prasad. I will request him to talk about India's geological potential for critical minerals. Over to you, Mr. Hanuma.
Good afternoon to everyone, and particularly my colleagues on the panel and the delegates who are here for this session. And I also thank CIA and particularly Mr. Sunil Duggal, who has given me this opportunity to speak on the critical minerals and its potential, particularly from Indian perspective. Well, you will get a geologist perspective on this, and so what I would like to do is cover some of the slides on the potential areas that India has for these critical minerals. Like since morning, many speakers have spoken about the critical minerals and the need for the exploration, etc., etc. So I don't want to repeat some of those things. Actually, many of these things have been said, so it made my job very easy. But when you look at these critical minerals like RE, lithium, tungsten, molybdenum, nickel, these are the future minerals, and we don't have any mine. Forget about the mine, we don't even have an advanced project where the drilling is going on in the next 3-4 years that could become a mine. That is where we are. And but having said that, don't we have the potential? I think that has been identified. There is potential to find these kind of deposits. So I will show some of the slides where the potential areas in India, and in spite of having this kind of potential, we are still the net importers of all these metals, which is not a good sign. And according to me, the exploration, particularly the concept-based exploration, is something which is lacking. That means the approach towards exploration of these deep-seated minerals or these kind of critical minerals is something which is lacking in India, in spite of having a good potential here. And one of the reasons is there are not many stakeholders, particularly from the private industry and the junior exploration industry, which I have been pitching for. And probably many of you may not be knowing that we are one of the junior exploration companies in India who have been doing exploration for the last 20 years and made significant discoveries for gold. So these are some of the topics I will cover quickly, and I'll sum it up at the end. So now look at the REE, that's the rare earth elements, the potential of India. We can see the map here. Apart from the beach sand deposits where we find a lot of REE, there are many other what is called as a carbonatite alkaline intrusions. That is where you find these REE deposits, and these deposits, to find, you need a kind of concept-based exploration. What happens is, in a normal bulk commodity, when you explore, it is fairly straightforward and simple, and the exploration is like a process-driven scenario. But whereas when you come to the deep-seated mineral exploration, you have to understand the entire genesis. I don't sound like a geologist or a technical guy here, but I was trying to show what is the complexity of the exploration involved in these kind of deposits. So there are many such carbonatite bodies. You can see all those stars. When these stars, before coming onto this map, probably there is a lot of research that has been done to bring it onto this map. So these areas are pretty much available, but unfortunately, as I understand, many of these complexes have not been given to the private parties because of the atomic mineral exploration rules, etc., etc. So now they are out of the reach of the private explorers. But the point I am trying to make is there is a significant opportunity to find RE deposits in India. Similarly, there are a couple of maps here. One is for nickel, PGE, and also tungsten and molybdenum. Nickel and PGE, this is personally, we have worked for the last 10 to 15 years in this country. There are so many potential areas in this country where you can find nickel deposits. But unfortunately, again, what happens is we don't focus on concept. We just go around as a process. That's not going to help. I just give an example, like a Bushveld complex in South Africa or Sudbury in Canada, where nickel and PGE is produced. Those complexes are so huge, like they cover 1,000 square kilometers. So you need to understand the entire complexity, the 3D architecture of that. Then only you will be able to find those kind of deposits. So that is something which I think India is lacking. But the good point is, as on today, a lot of data has been generated on this, on the Indian subcontinent, which can be used by the explorers. Similarly, in terms of lithium, in India there are no projects at all, except one project I think which is being run at this point of time. But there are no projects. I think a lot of basic research is required here. So, sum and substance, yes, exploration is required, and we all know exploration is not a simple process, it's a long haul. You start today, I mean, if you're lucky enough, out of 1 out of 100 may become a mine, and it could take 10 to 20 years. So, if that is the timeline we are looking at, we need to start now, because next 5 years we are not going to produce any of these things in India, and will remain to be the import dependent country, which is not a great scenario. So how do we mitigate this situation? That means you have to increase the stakeholders. I mean, you have to bring in the private parties into the exploration. Yes, government is making certain efforts which are welcome, but the efforts need to be more and more stakeholders have to come. And here I would like to add, it is not the big companies which always make big discoveries. It is actually the junior companies and the spirited individuals who made significant discoveries all over the globe, and they should be given the opportunity. The junior explorers, when they come in, they are almost like startup companies in the tech industry. They come up with the idea, they peg the ground, and they take it to the next level. So they also have to be brought into the system. I mean, as a junior exploration company, I can pretty well say that thing works pretty well. Same policy may not work. So that is one of my submissions and one of the points that I want to raise. And the third one is the funding. I think the exploration funding, if you see some of the countries like Canada and Australia, the way the funds have been raised from the capital markets. And again, as a junior exploration company in India, it's listed on Bombay Stock Exchange. We raised $10 million and invested in the exploration. We explored about 20,000 square kilometers of the ground in this country. So we sit as an example here, where if the stock exchanges in India can be allowed to list the exploration companies, a lot of capital will come. So sum and substance, what I am trying to say is we have the potential, point number one, and a slight tweaking in the policy would help us to bring in a lot of junior explorers, like startup companies. They would come and invest and make a small change with the stock exchange to allow the exploration companies to list on the stock exchange. You will have the capital to come in. And finally, today I have seen that NMET is also contributing and giving projects to the private companies to explore these kind of metals. I think that is a very good step, and government need to support these kind of activities. Otherwise, next 10-15 years we will not be able to discover any deposit, and beyond that, yes, these metals are going to be like another oil for us, which will put a lot of import bill on us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. And I particularly liked your point of junior exploration companies, which we have been emphasizing a lot in many forums. It is also not only that the people are motivated to explore and the right people, it is also actually increasing the radius of influence. If GSI, MECP or handful of the companies play a part in exploration, rather than doing that, if there are n number of people who can play the part in the exploration, the chances of success will become much higher, and then there is a chance of finding the mines for the critical minerals. Thank you, Mr. Prasad. So next speaker on the panel is Ms. Jennifer, and I will request her to express her views on status of Canada's critical mineral sector and the opportunities Canada can provide to make